Congratulations, you're in one of the most lucrative businesses in the world right now because of limited supply. And I just wanted to make this video so we can kind of take a second to step back and see if we're maximizing on the opportunity here. Let's go back to the basics. You have to dress to impress. You have to smile regardless of what day you had beforehand. You need to follow your process even though people are just saying yes for the sake of you having the car in stock. And you need to do things that are extraordinary, because just like this being the abnormal, it will become the new normal. And then before you know it, bam, it'll be gone and we'll be back to where it was before, with everybody having competitive market and market share. The most important thing is to remain creative. You know, there's a lot of roadblocks that are in front of us because we do not have the inventory. So what we end up doing is we go online, we show them pictures, and we start getting into discussions that are unnecessary. Has anybody decided to take a creative step when you don't have the vehicle in stock? Are you walking outside and checking to see if you have a used one that's maybe a year or two older that you could test drive the vehicle in, and kind of just explain to the customer, hey, listen, I don't have this car in stock, but since you're interested in it, I do have a like car outside that's only a year older, and I feel like the chassis, the drivetrain, everything is pretty much the same along with the suspension. You can kind of get a better feel. By doing this, you're taking a step outside the box of normalcy. A lot of people are just trying to write that deposit and push on to the next. You doing that is also creating this relationship that you have with this customer, which is very unique and very different from everybody else and what they're doing. And let's step into the whole negotiation process and what we're doing to sell the car, right? Saying less can give you more. And let me just dive into what I'm saying here. If a customer is walking in and they're asking you about how much over you are on the MSRP of the car, that does not mean that you need to sit down with the customer and expose rates and payment. The customer is literally asking you just for a price on the vehicle. You're automatically volunteering information and introducing this into a dialogue of negotiations that probably wasn't requested in the first place and is now unnecessarily introduced and now becoming a hurdle to jump over for you as a salesman. It's very important for you to understand the differences between these departments: sales, finance, sales management, etc. We're all here to play a part, and there is nothing wrong, and let me repeat when I say this, nothing wrong with you shifting accountability to the necessary department. Let me explain. Customer sits down with you and says to you, okay, I agree to pay $5,000 over sticker, whatever have you. And they say to you, do you know what the interest rates are? It is very simple for you to look at them in the eye and go, that is completely out of my department, but I have very well-experienced finance managers that would love to answer all the questions that you have in regards to that matter. Shifting that accountability lets the customer know the conversation stops here. We can no longer discuss this. And this is a good thing, because you don't want to queer a whole process of selling a car just for the sake of informing the customer of this information when it's not requested. And when it is requested, there is nothing wrong with you telling the customer you do not know. You're never going to board on a plane and ask a steward how to fly the plane. You're going to ask the actual pilot. And that's the simplest analogy that I can give you. So remember, if a customer's in there asking you about how much over MSRP, they're telling you that they want a cash price on the vehicle. If the exception to the rule comes around and the customer says to you,
I need a payment based off of that money before I give you a commitment,
then fine. Redirect and address the situation, but also get your managers involved. There might be a TO where you could just sit them with finance, or a manager could walk over and continue to keep this information away from the customer so it doesn't become a hang up on the deal. And mind you, before you even get to these numbers, before you even have the audacity to sit with the customer and say to them, the price is X, or the payment is this, or whatever it is that you're going over with the customer, make sure that you're developing a relationship with this customer. How are you doing that? Well, you're simply doing that by doing a test drive. All of this time that you're spending with the customer to develop this relationship that you have with them. You have to remember that they're here in your home. It is your responsibility to make them feel comfortable. Just take the whole dealership out of the equation. If you invite somebody into your home, the first thing that they're going to do is walk in and look to sit down somewhere. They need you to tell them where it's okay to sit. They need you to make them feel comfortable, to take their jacket and hang them up and take their shoes off, whatever it is that you need to do to make them comfortable, serve them a drink, etc. Same thing when they're walking into the dealership. Shake their hand, keep eye contact with them, ask them if they want a bottle of water, ask them if they want coffee. When you're selling the vehicle, go the extra mile. Take them over to the service department, walk them over to a service writer, introduce them to that service writer. Tell them this is the person you're looking for when you come in for your oil changes or any kind of future repairs on your vehicle. Show them where to park in the parking lot. Make them feel at home. And above all else, still on the same subject of negotiating, there's one thing that we're all forgetting to do when negotiating. It is not your car. It is the dealer principal or owner's car. They are the ones who bought said vehicle with their funds and put it in the lot for you to sell. You need to tell the customer that you are trying to give them the best deal because you are their friend. You are there working with them to achieve the goal of buying said car. Both of you can benefit from it. If you sell the car, you get a commission. If the customer takes a vehicle off of your lot, they have a car, they win too. So when somebody is asking you for a ridiculous price, it's fair to look at them and be like, listen, I don't think he's gonna do that. She's gonna do that. There's nothing wrong with shifting that accountability, because the second that you look at the customer and you say, no, I can't do that, it now seems personal. It now has withdrawn the whole friendly aspect of this whole entire conversation, and now the customer is going to start pulling back on how they feel about you. And trust me when I say this, you want your customer to feel like you are their friend. Whether it be genuine or disingenuine, this is your job. You need to make them comfortable with what's called to be their second largest purchase of their life. And now that everything is done, you've negotiated, you've walked them around the service department, you're sitting down with the customer, you're writing up a buyer's order, they're putting in credit. What are you doing next? You're taking a deposit. You're also planning for the vehicle delivery maybe in a week, maybe in 2 weeks, maybe in a month. How do you solidify the customer's commitment? How do you keep them engaged with the car? Well, it's very simple. You have to make sure that, one, you're constantly in contact with them. Maybe every 3 or 4 days. Just give them an update. Even if the update is something that is similar from the update 3 days prior, give it to them anyway. Keep them engaged. But most importantly, what are the other attributes of the deal that we need to engage immediately to keep this customer off the market? The deposit. If you only take a $100 deposit or a $500 deposit and the customer is putting $5,000 down, well, guess what? They have $4,500 immediately available to make a deal at the next dealership. And we're not thinking like that because it's just a signed buyer's order and deposit in-house, and that's what my boss wants, and I got a car. But if it cancels, what was the point in doing all that? You have to think, well, Mr. Customer, you said you're putting $5,000 down. Are you going to be leaving that on a debit card or a credit card or a check or maybe cash? Whatever it is, ask for it. If the customer pulls back and says, well, I was going to do that, the funds aren't available, jump to 50%. Say, okay, so can you give me half of that? If you ask for half, you're still now giving the customer only to work with half of what they had before if they decide to go to another dealer. And if it prompts them to contact you because they're looking for a deposit to be reversed, you now have some kind of leverage on the customer to have them come in and talk to them about their desires and needs and why they're looking to cancel. It's all relative. And I'm not saying to hold them hostage. What I'm saying is just have a little bit more leverage in this situation, because a $500 deposit and I'll call you in 2 weeks is not committing the customer to a car. As a matter of fact, take it a step further. Say you asked for the 100% deposit up front and they came down to giving you only half. What are you doing after that? Insurance. A lot of you are lazy and don't tell me that you're not. You're giving the customer the VIN information. You're saying,
contact your insurance company, tell them this, and this is the lien holder.
That's bullshit. You should be doing it yourself. That is part of your job. You are concierging the customer from beginning to end in buying this vehicle. And you need to help and concierge them through every single step. If the car is coming in 2 weeks or maybe 1 week, and you don't have the vehicle in stock, a lot say, well, how am I going to get insurance if I don't know when the vehicle is going to be here? Because it says a week, but it might be 2. Well, it's very simple. If your desk managers are telling you that the anticipated delivery is 2 weeks, then set up insurance for 2 weeks out. Tell the customer this is the tentative date. We can always change it if we have to. Tell them that getting insurance ahead of time is going to expedite the DMV process for them, so next time they're in the dealership, they leave less of a carbon footprint. This will help the customer understand the means to what you're doing. But really, altogether, what we're trying to do is get this customer committed and married to the car as much as possible. And trust me when I say this, if you get a higher deposit or as high as you can, if you have the insurance attached to the vehicle tentatively 2 weeks out, 1 week out, whatever it is, it's a lot better than having a $100 deposit and no insurance. Am I wrong? Just do it and watch the different result. And don't forget to have at least 3 forms of contact with the customer so you can always reach them. And 3 forms meaning work phone number, cell phone number, personal email, whatever it is. As long as it's 3 forms of contact, you have a much better understanding of the customer's whereabouts and how to reach them. And in the subject of deliveries, let's talk about expectations of a customer. Let's be real. We all know that it takes a long time to get a customer from signing out to out the door. If you're at a busy dealership, you cannot predict how many deals they have that day or how billing is going to associate with those deals that day. It is very important for you to underpromise, over-deliver. What we're doing these days is we're over-promising and under-delivering, and then we have a whole bunch of customers with different finance managers in the showroom aggravated. And when I say under-promise and over-deliver, I also mean stay with your customer. If you have a delivery, you can't count your chickens before they hatch. The customer could blow up simply over the fact that they feel like you abandoned them and they're sitting there waiting in the waiting room and have no idea what's going on. It's important for you to keep in touch with them and tell them, hey, listen, you're coming here on a Saturday for a delivery. I tried to do it during the week, but one of the reasons why I tried to do it during the week is because we're exceptionally busy on Saturday. With that being said, I know we have a few deliveries going on, might be a couple hours. I hope it's less, but just bear with me and I'll be running around like crazy. And if you need anything, just wave me down and I got you. That reassurance to the customer, that touching base with them changes the whole entire dynamic of the impatient customer, because now they know that you addressed it up front. So you've eliminated the argument of them calling on you and going, hey, what's going on? You already told them what's going on. So just think outside the box and be smart about it. And thinking outside the box really transcends into another aspect of the car business: understanding management roles. Sales managers are there to set up a structure for you to present to the customer so they can increase the possibility of the customer buying said car. If you take it upon yourself to be a desk manager, give prices, go about it yourself without getting sales managers involved, and you are blowing up deals, that is a waste of time. These people are paid, sales managers are paid to be in the dealership to guide and direct you through the whole entire sales process. If you start taking matters into your own hands and telling customers, oh, we could do it at MSRP, when the sales manager might have took a shot at 17.5% over MSRP, you essentially told your principal owner that you decided that he is not going to make a profit on the car. That is not your position at all. It is very important that you respect your sales manager's positions and their authority in the dealership and lean on them through the whole process to make sure that you are executing the most professional and profound way possible of selling that car. And let's not forget the finance managers. Finance managers are a very, very crucial part of the industry. They are said to be the top sales guys in the automotive industry. They are put in a position of power and authority in their own office to enhance the deal and also protect your principal owners from any kind of legal problems. vetting customers, making sure credit applications are legitimate, making sure the customer's identity is verified, etc. It's not just pitching customers. There's a lot of skill and talent that takes place behind that closed door, and you have to respect their process. Don't talk to your customers about what they do. Don't warn them about what they're going to do. Understand that finance managers are working with you to enhance your deal. They are also working with you behind the scenes to make sure that that said car that was sold at 17.5% over MSRP will get bought by a bank. It's their talent that is very, very much crucial to the whole solidification of the deal. So appreciate them, work with them, communicate with them. Don't hate them. Don't envy them. Don't get in their way. Don't take matters into your own hands. Don't tell people what their payments are going to be if the customer told you that they have challenged credit. Allow the professional who deals with that, the finance/business manager, handle it. Let them do their job. And let's go into another touchy subject that happens more often than we've ever seen in the car business. A lot of people, a lot of sales people, are trying to sell cars over the phone. This is a huge no-no. Selling yourself, selling the dealership, and selling the appointment is what you should be doing. Any donkey can get on the phone and say MSRP or 1,000 under or 1,000 over, whatever it is. And if everybody did that and that was the norm, what would happen is you'd see dealerships shutting down because all they'd be doing is giving cars away and not making enough gross profitability to pay the bills and keep the salaries paid as well. So you have to understand the big picture here. Yes, there's going to be exceptions to the rule. There's going to be customers that call up and say, I'm not coming in there unless you give me a price. And then, like I said before, you will get your managers involved and ask them what they think should be the right call or what to say over the phone. I'm just telling you, you need to be a little bit more creative. Tell the customer about yourself. Tell them why it makes sense for them to come down there in order to give them a price. Tell them that you're different. Tell them all the things that are practical so they can understand why you don't want to do it. Tell them, well, Mr. Customer, if I tell you that's $2,000 over, all you're going to do is call down the next dealership and ask for $1,500 over. And they're going to say yes. But you know what's going to happen, Mr. Customer? They're going to say yes, or they're going to lie and tell you MSRP, or maybe they're telling the truth. And then you'll go down there and find out that you have to pay all these erroneous fees. So it doesn't turn out to be sticker at all. And I'm telling you that my dealership is very transparent and straightforward, and this is why you should buy from me. Again, selling yourself. Just think outside the box. Be different. And when I say be different, I mean comparison is the thief of joy. When you start looking around and you see other people doing certain things, you start to compare yourself to them and you start beating yourself up. Well, this person's got this much out and this person's making this much money. The only thing that person is showing you is that it can be done. So stop comparing yourself to other people. Stop being normal. Stop trying to be like the next person and just be a unique you. Bring 150% to the dealership every single day. Greet the customers with a smile and a firm handshake. Show them the dealership. Get them married to the car. Take a heavy deposit. Get their insurance for them. Concierge them through the whole entire process. Communicate with your managers. Be a contributing member of the dealership society, and I promise you, you will succeed. There's no hidden formulas. There is absolutely no secrets whatsoever. I look at it as just common sense. Be extraordinary because nobody notices normal.